Hello everyone, welcome back to another Fresh Sim Racing stream. Here we are bringing you the highlights of race 3 of round 3 of our Sprint Club Race Championship. Race 3 here shows you the M1 Pro cars. As you can see, they're out on track. These cars have a lot more power than the previous cars we've had on track. We had the GT5 Cup in the race 1, Formula Rookies in race 2. The M1 Pro cars here will be race 3, and the Lotus 25 vintage Formula 1 cars will be available to watch in race 4. If you missed the footage so far, make sure you go back and watch race 1 and race 2. Some really good footage there in some of the other races, and surprising results for a number of drivers into the overall championships. Sprint Race Club Series is a little bit different to what you'd normally race. We try and simulate a club race event you'd have a normal UK track weekend with the 5 different cars. So drivers are competing for the overall club championship if they're here consistently to be here every week. If they are not able to make certain races or certain times, then you can race for the individual championships. As for the M1 Pro Car Championships, after round 2, it is 8ball who currently leads the M1 Pro Trophy. He is 2 points ahead of Inter All Sorts and Lord of Lincoln, who take joint second on 27 points. Jeff Spencer finds himself in third on 25 points, and Ambient Stub with 24 behind them, then followed up by Wayne, Icedude and Nathbit. Let's see what the random grid brings us for this race. It is Ambient Stub who is given pole. Normally we see Ambient Stub in pole, we see him break away. Let's see if that happens again, but he is very closely followed, should be closely followed by Icedude in P2. Bullen finds himself in P3, Nathbit's in P4, his teammate Wayne is in P5, Ollie joining us for this race 3, he's in P6, Inter All Sorts is in P7, Kingy who won the race last time out in round 2, he's in P8. Ben 38883, he's making his debut race weekend with us. He's done really well so far in the 2 races. He's in P9. Sam Thumbfinger, he's in P10. A little bit different for Sam this week. He's had some technical issues, so he's without his pedals and his wheels, so he's running a controller. He's ahead of Jeff Spencer in P10, in P11, and Carol Baskin, also a new driver to us in the Sprint Club Race Championship. He's in P12. Our club championship leader, is sat in P13, the last row of the grid, and he's alongside Harry D, who is another driver new to us, but a very quick driver nonetheless. Let's see how this race went about as the drivers are revving up, ready for the green lights. And it's a great start there by Ice. It gets a little bit of wheel spin. In fact, one of the cars has gone sideways and putting the power down in these little bit damp conditions. I think that was Bullen in the background who had a moment put under power there. In fact, it's having a moment. That's Ambient Stub there who has a moment getting a little bit wide onto the curb and getting the car sideways. At least Ice Dude ahead. Nathbit behind is all over the track behind Ambient Stub. The track very wet here, even though it is raining, only light rain. We saw rain in the first race, race 1. That was with the GT5s. A little bit more rain here as Nathan gets very sideways in Tax Lapper, and that is Inter All Sorts behind, who is having a moment. A number of cars behind. Inter All Sorts run deep off the circuit as he comes back on, joins safely there, but there's a moment there with Ollie. Hopefully there's no lasting damage, but there's Jeff Spencer, I believe. Who is that? Jeff Spencer? It's not Jeff Spencer, it's another car in the black livery. That car's been spun around and that is taking some damage as one of the other cars joining the track. At the end of lap 1, it is Ambient Stub who leads Ice Dude in second. Harry D has had a fantastic start to this race. He's now up into P3 after starting last on the grid, just by keeping him out of some avoiding all that chaos. Sam Thumbfinger's in 4th. Jeff Spencer finds himself in P5. Mikey is going off track a little bit there. He's in was in P6, but That's now Wayne's spot. In fact, Mikey's dropping places here. I wonder if he's picked up a large amount of damage. He has. You can see the front of that car has been damaged. Was Mikey one of the drivers caught up in that collision? Either way, Wayne and Carol Baskin are in 6th and 7th. Carol Baskin all over the back of Wayne as the cars go very slowly up this complex of corners. Ollie is then in P9 into all sorts. He definitely got caught up in all that. He's in P10. He's got Bullen for company in P11. It's Nathbit who was very loose on the circuit in lap 1. In fact, he still is coming around here. He's in P12. Rnd.3 is in the pits for repairs, and Kingy is out of the race. Terminal damage for Kingy, so he is out of this race. He'll be able to put his feet up and watch the other drivers make a way around. He won't be happy he's out of the race, but these are very treacherous conditions here. Ice Dude is hunting down Ambient Stub as we come on to lap 3. Closest battle on track at the minute sees Wayne defending against Jeff Spencer, and Ollie is very close behind in P7. So Ollie's been able to get ahead of Carol Baskin. As we see the camera pan to Kingy's car there, I'm not entirely sure why. We'll see, just jump across through the other camera and see what we can find else is happening. Harry in his first race out in the Sprint Race Championship, he is in P3. As he's watching a car ahead, I think that's a back marker having a lot of trouble going around. Not sure which car that is. I think that's Rnd.3. These M1 Pro cars, usually they get very slidey and very easy to lock the brakes up. They do suffer from tyre wear. Not something I'd expect to see in these wet conditions, but something the drivers have to be wary of. If they don't drive sensibly in these cars, then they can be punished later on in the race. This is something that Nathbit learned firsthand. We saw last week. He was leading for 7 laps around Sportstand Sugo, and then a brief moment of lapse of concentration as the tyre wear started to kick in, caused a lot of damage and allowed Kingy to get free to take the win. So as we come on to lap 4, it is Ambient Stub who leads Ice Dude in 2nd, Harry's in 3rd, Sam Thumbfinger, who seems to be faring quite well on the controller, he is in P4. Jeff Spencer is having a fantastic P5 once again. Ollie is recovering from a bit of an incident with Inter All Sorts earlier on. He's in P6. In fact, it's Wayne and Inter All Sorts in P7. You can see Inter All Sorts in the yellow car behind. The very fantastically bright covered livery of Wayne there, taking a wide route to avoid the apex and potentially any wet curbs to spin the car around. Further behind is Carol Baskin having a moment there, resetting his car as Nathbit comes through. He's having not the greatest of races in these M1 Pro cars. They've got a little bit more power than what we've previously experienced in the other 2 cars. So let's see how everything else goes. Ben further back, he's carrying a bit of damage, I think, so he's just trying to complete the race, get the laps in. Bullen is out of this race as well. He's got terminal damage, and in fact Mikey is also into the pits, so 11th down, have considerable damage, and in fact Mikey could potentially be a lap down here when he comes out of this pit, so he just want to try and mop up as many he can. In fact, he will be a lap down. Ambient Stub and Ice Dude are through, so Mikey is a lap down. Ambient Stub leads this race with 4 laps to go. Ice Dude is only 3 seconds behind, so he's going to want to keep Harry D behind. Harry D is in 3rd, but I wonder if Harry's carrying a little bit of damage because he's not really closing that gap up. So we'll want to see later on in the race, see if he has a moment or slows down, but he is closing the gap ever so slightly, just not at the rate we expected. Harry is a very experienced driver across a number of formats, so this sort of car should suit his driving style, especially in the wet. Jeff Spencer in 4th still, and he's having a fantastic time there. As long as he can keep that car on track, he should come up for another fantastic haul of points this race weekend. Sam will be happy to keep these points coming in on a controller, but he is starting to come a little bit under pressure there from Ollie. And the back of the shot there, you saw Sam Thumfinger's teammate Inter All Sorts in 7th. In fact, Inter All Sorts having a look in the background there, getting very close to Ollie ahead. No way through on this lap. Ollie looks to defend. Will Inter All Sorts try and make a move as we're coming through the complex of corners? Take a little bit off that corner. Contrast lies. Can Inter All Sorts use the draft to get ahead? Just wait for the cameras to catch up. There we go. Inter All Sorts having a look on the inside. No way through right now. In fact, you can hear the rain falling on the roof of these cars here. Checking the time and screens on the left there. In fact, Inter All Sorts has pokes his nose in, and that is a little bit of contact there between the two drivers. Inter All Sorts slowing up, allowing Ollie to rejoin the track. Inter All Sorts clearly feels he was the driver at fault there, and Ollie also allowing Inter All Sorts the faster driver through. Nathbit is in 8th. He's keeping his distance and waiting for all this to play out. Up ahead, Harry has dropped off considerably from the back of Ice Dude now, and he finds himself still in P3, but only 3 seconds ahead of Jeff Spencer, who's taking it very tentatively in this wet weather. He's got Sam Thumfinger behind. The gap is down to just over a second. But if anything happens further ahead, these two drivers will be there to take advantage. As we're heading on to lap 7, Chuckman on board here with ambient stub. You can see the precision in the steering wheel here. That stub is just driving this BMW around, keeping his car well off the white lines and the curbs. There's a little bit of a spray ahead. It's one of the back markers coming round. So with 1.5 laps to go, Ambient Stub leads the race with Ice Dude in 2nd. Harry is dropping back now from the lead pack, so he's definitely going to be definitely experiencing some damage in an earlier incident. We didn't see it on camera, but we know it's happened. Sam Thumfinger is ahead of Jeff, so Jeff has lost a place to P. So Sam is up into P4, Jeff is down into P5. Jeff is about 4 seconds ahead of the next driver into All Sorts, so let's see if he can keep his race lines nice and clean and take that good position. Everything is settling down further back down the grid. Ollie is in 6th after a bit of commotion with Inter All Sorts a couple of laps ago. Nathbit is just plodding through at the minute, just trying to get to the end of the race. It would seem there's a little bit of a lot of dirt on his car, so he's taking a few trips into the gravel. There, Carol Baskin, not used to these cars, a lot faster in a GT5. He's currently in P9. Wayne, who's got caught up, I think, in an incident, is something we're getting used to saying this round, actually, involving Wayne. He's been the victim a couple of times. Mikey is out on track. Ben 38883 is also running round. Bullen and Kingy are retired from the race. Ben struggling with a lot of understeer here, this M1 Procar. You have to drive this car in a very specific way to get the most out of it. Going on to lap 1 here, Jeff Spencer defending very astutely. We've seen Jeff's defending capabilities in the Formula Rookie. Does he have what it takes in these bigger, more powerful cars? Does Inter gets a little bit sideways on power? Inter All Sorts in the yellow livery car with his lights on, just letting him know he's there. Jeff Spencer know that he's there, putting him under that pressure. But Inter himself runs wide. Very, very easy to lose the back end of the car on the AstroTurf there. Can Inter All Sorts pull a move on Jeff Spencer coming into the last lap? Ambient Stub 30 seconds ahead. He is on his final lap, and he's gonna want the clean, nice and clean lap here. Let's go across the line. Jeff Spencer has into all sorts very close for company. Will he be able to make a move through? In fact, he is. He's through into all sorts. Is up into P5. Jeff Spencer not fighting the faster into all sorts. Probably a smart move as come on to our last lap. We'll see how that all fares out. Into all sorts has been shown to be pushing. Does he have enough in this last lap to put a lot of pressure on Sam, his teammate in P4? This is your race leader, Ambient Stub, coming round to complete the final lap of the race. He's got a 12-second advantage over Ice Dude behind in P2. It's a fantastic result for Ambient Stub to take another victory with us here. Ice Dude, who's not had the greatest of rounds last time out, he's going to take P2. Fantastic result for him. Harry, who had the pace to be further up the field, but after a moment and a bit of damage, he finds himself taking P3. It's then the battle of the Black Hammer Project in P4 and P5, and it looks like the controller wielding Sam Thumbfinger is going to take P4 if he avoids penalties for cutting a little bit of the curb there. But into all sorts, who gets P4? Jeff Spencer, another fantastic race for Jeff. He's going to take P6. And Ollie, who's having a bit of a moment there on the final lap, and that's allowed Nathbit through. Heartbreak for Ollie, who's been in P7 for most of the race. He drops down to P8, and if he gets it on track, in fact, yes, he is on track. P8 for Ollie, P9 for Karabaskin, P10 for Wayne, 11 for 8-Ball, and P12 for Ben. Let's have a pan to your race winner here. And this is Ambient Subs taking it nice, easy in the final lap. We'll let him stop underneath the bridge here so we can stay nice and dry. So that is the end of race 3 of the Fresh Sim Racing Club Sprint Race Championship in the M1 Pro Cars. After the end of 3 rounds now, it is the person we're watching now, Ambient Stub. He now leads the championship with 41 points. Into all sorts, a good recovery drive for him. Ended up in P5. He takes the second position, 2 points behind. Ice Dude, good results for Ice Dude and Jeff Spencer. They find themselves joint on points in third in this championship. Not a good result for Bikey, but he still finds himself in P4 overall. That is 8-Ball. It's then Wayne, Sam Thumbfinger, and Nathbit, Lord of Lincoln, Kingy, who round up the rest of the championship grid. Thank you very much for joining us for race 3 in the M1 Pro Cars. Make sure you have a look out for race 1 and race 2 if you haven't seen them already. They're on our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed watching us, watching the streams, make sure you pop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to have a try at joining us, our link for our Discord is in the description. We have a number of other series available, as well as the Sprint Race Championship. We've got the Vintage Touring Cars happening this on every Sunday. And we have the on a Friday nights we have our Group A Masters Trophy, which is travelling around the world. But that is all for me for this highlight stream. Keep an eye out for everything else, and thank you very much for joining us.